insurance system, homeopathic doctors are not recompensed for the greater amount of time they spend with each patient, so they often earn less than their orthodox colleagues. All the same, Dr. Inga Göpfert-Geyer is convinced.
Once you've seen how effective homeopathy is, it would be irresponsible to apply orthodox medicine.
If her financial situation permits, she wants to work exclusively on a homeopathic basis. In 1821, Samuel Hahnemann moves to Köthen, a small town in the east of Germany. He's now 65. His waiting room is always crowded. His therapeutic successes have earned him a reputation well beyond the borders of Germany. He has a growing number of followers. Among those who champion him is Ferdinand, Duke of Anhalt-Köthen. Hahnemann becomes the Duke's personal physician. In this capacity, he often visits the Duke in his palace. With his new form of medicine, Hahnemann has made many enemies among physicians and apothecaries. But under the protection of the Duke, he enjoys a certain freedom. For instance, he's now allowed to produce his remedies himself. He considers this important in order to ensure uniform quality. He had been forced to leave Leipzig because he was officially prohibited from making his own medicinal drugs, at the instigation of the apothecaries who openly opposed him. In Köthen, Hahnemann deals extensively with chronic diseases. While accepting that particular types of skin disorder can disappear after treatment with salves and ointments, he takes the view that the disease hasn't actually been cured. It has simply moved inside the patient's body. As a result, Hahnemann concludes the patient will later have other organic and also mental suffering. In 1831, cholera breaks out in Europe. Long before scientific awareness of bacteria, Hahnemann believes that the disease is transmitted by minute organisms. With hygiene and homeopathic treatment, he achieves amazing results, and his reputation spreads across the continent.
We don't claim that we can cure everything, but we claim that homeopathy would be best applied in the beginning of chronic conditions, in chronic stages. And then people can be spared a lot of suffering.
George Vitulkas in the German capital, Berlin. Homeopathic practitioners are holding their World Congress here, and one of the highlights is to be a lecture by the Greek expert.
Details are not important.
In Germany in particular, he has many followers.
We should use our common sense. This is my answer. If somebody doubts, they can come and they can try it themselves and find out whether they are cured or not. In this matter, critics do not count. I was sick and I was cured. Now, whether you criticize or you don't criticize, I don't care. This is what the patients say.
Here, George Vitulkas doesn't have to defend his views. Elsewhere, homeopathy comes in for a lot of criticism, sometimes polemical, sometimes phrased more moderately.
I judge homeopathy by the standards of pharmacology, and pharmacology is a discipline concerned only with active agents. And I'm afraid that in any experimental sense, active agents are something homeopathy doesn't have to offer.
So far, no scientific study has been able to prove the efficacy of homeopathic remedies beyond all doubt. So, is homeopathy based just on the placebo effect? Homeopathy is also used in veterinary medicine, but critics refuse to accept this as evidence of efficacy, saying that animals can also be influenced psychologically, in the same way as human beings. In some cases, though, this is difficult to imagine. On this farm in northern Germany, veterinary surgeon Dr. Achim Schutter was called in to treat a cow by the name of Umbeline. All of a sudden, she had more or less stopped producing milk. After excluding any possibility of organic damage, the vet administered a homeopathic remedy. Just 12 hours later, the cow was producing just as much milk as before. Following a second treatment a few weeks later, the effect was repeated.
There are such definite successes, and they occur so quickly after treatment that I can only say they must have been brought about by the homeopathic remedy. They can't have been caused by anything else. I've been applying this method for over 13 years now, and I have achieved success in so many cases, including cases which were regarded as more or less hopeless. And that has convinced me.
Are orthodox doubters simply protecting their own interests?
It's a whole complex of established medicine and pharmaceutical companies. Billions of marks or dollars are going towards this kind of research, and the whole of humanity is waiting to find a remedy that will cure cancer, a remedy that will cure AIDS, or a remedy that will cure any chronic disease.
Georges Vitulkas has taken up arms against the medical establishment. And just like Hahnemann himself, the Greek expert is attacked for poking around in the wounds of orthodox medicine.
You have asthma, you have to take cortisone the rest of your life. This is not a cure. It's just suppressing the symptoms. So which chronic disease allopathic medicine has cured in spite of billions of dollars that have gone to research?
Hahnemann also refused to be deterred. In 1835, Hahnemann marries a young French woman and moves to Paris. In the French capital, he becomes a fashionable physician. Patients come from abroad to consult him. One of his patients is the Italian violin virtuoso Niccolò Paganini. In his patient's journals, Hahnemann keeps a scrupulously detailed account of the great musician's medical history. For the German physician, exile in Paris is a triumph. After decades of deprivation, Hahnemann now finally enjoys prosperity, and his successes make homeopathy better and better known. Samuel Hahnemann dies in 1843 at the age of 88. His grave in the famous Père Lachaise cemetery in Paris is a monument to a man who changed the world of medicine. In France, the new method of treatment quickly became established. In the streets of Paris, there are pharmacies everywhere selling homeopathic preparations. They are officially recognized, and sales of such products have been rising for years. For homeopathic manufacturers in Germany, France is a very important export market. But the practice of homeopathy isn't confined just to Europe. Hahnemann's teachings spread around the world. Its popularity is most widespread in India. Homeopathy reached the subcontinent even in the 19th century and quickly became established. Mahatma Gandhi was one of those who furthered it. the Nehru Homeopathic Hospital in New Delhi. Between 500 and 600 people a day come here for outpatient treatment. Over 500,000 people practice homeopathic medicine in India, more than in any other country. Homeopathic remedies are favourably priced, and the method doesn't call for expensive apparatus, important reasons for its broad base here.
It's almost a tradition. You have homeopathic hospitals and homeopathic pharmacies and homeopathic doctors in each and every town, every small village of India, and we have hundreds of homeopathic colleges in India, you know. So, and it's also official.
The hospital in New Delhi is also a medical college for homeopathy, with 220 students. The course of training in this discipline lasts 5 years. In India, about 17% of all doctors practice homeopathic medicine. Patients go straight to the hospital's own pharmacy to collect their prescriptions. India is a huge market for homeopathic medicines, and the country could pioneer the further spread of this method of treatment in Asia. Thanks to Georges Vitulkas, homeopathy has gained in reputation. He's helped to give many homeopathic practitioners more faith in themselves. He's taken charge. He's imposed more stringent standards of teaching and learning. He looks forward to the future with confidence.
I believe the future is with homeopathy. There is no question about that. When this will come, when homeopathy will be established as the main therapeutic methodology, I cannot say. Maybe 50 years from now, maybe 150. But definitely, it will be the medicine of the future.
A bold vision, one that many may reject. But 200 years after Hahnemann's Similia similibus curentur, like cures like, one thing is certain. Homeopathy can definitely no longer be ignored.